Around a month ago, there was another large wave of discussion talking about how indie games are no longer indie. It's a topic that does need to be talked about because the idea of being truly independent from publishers is something that has zero correlation with how the indie tag is used. This can be proven by the large number of how to approach a publisher videos made by indie developers. And so, the indie tag for games has become a meaningless marketing term. And I stated the comment, indie just means not AAA at this point. Gamers don't really care, they just want fun games to play. I got a reply to this comment, and I think it's worthy of a video. Not because the comment is outright wrong, but because it focuses on nothing that actually matters. The comment reads,
"Gamers might not care, but developers do, since we are compared to bankrolled indie studios all the time. You get sick of hearing Mega Indie X can produce Y in Z amount of time, and they are indie, so why can't you? Game development is hard enough without a bunch of uninformed consumers on your back review bombing your real indie game because it doesn't have the features of such and such fake indie game when they had a team of 50 people and a budget of $25 million. If you want to help the game industry change, and you are a gamer but not a developer, paying attention to where the money is going versus what the marketing spin is saying really goes a long way. If a company is lying about their actual resources and development team, what makes you think they have the gamer's best interest at the core of their game? Part of the corruption and gaslighting in the game development industry starts with the consumers, gamers.
On a factual basis, most of this comment is correct. But nothing they're correct about actually matters. So let's talk about why it doesn't matter, line by line.
Gamers might not care, but developers do, since we are compared to bankrolled indie studios all the time.
The problem with the sentence is that I don't think what developers care about matters at all. It's the people with the money that matter the most, as they are the one who provide the career. If you want to be a purist in the indie dev space, then you have to accept the downsides that come with it. Most pure indie devs are only pure because they either don't want to deal with the obligation of delivering for a publisher, they don't think that they need a publisher, or because they don't have the opportunity to team up with a publisher. Most indie devs are either in hobby or survival mode, and you bet they would jump ship the second they had an opportunity to stabilize their income.
You get sick of hearing Mega Indie X can produce Y in Z amount of time, and they are indie, so why can't you?
I rarely hear this. Most gamers don't care about the process of making games, and the few that do often voice some awareness when given a chance. The only times I've heard contrary was with Power World and Manor, and that was because of some very bad reporting. So until those two very recent examples, I didn't really hear much of it, but I have seen the comparison in people's actions. And the actions show that a gamer would, on average, much rather play a $20 game made by 20 people than a $20 game made by one person. I'd say that the comparison is much more subconscious than active.
Game development is hard enough without a bunch of uninformed consumers on your back review bombing your real indie game because it doesn't have the features of such and such fake indie game when they had a team of 50 people and a budget of $25 million.
I don't think game development being hard matters at all for the people with the money. If you're being review bombed for not having a feature, I'd still say that's a good problem to have. At least you have attention being paid to you rather than being ignored. Also, review bombing normally means that you're getting negative ratings for reasons that are external to the product. If people are angry because they were expecting a feature and you don't have it, that's not a review bomb. That's just a negative review, and you need to decide case by case whether or not it's valid rather than just automatically writing it off as gamers being unreasonable. If your game is competing with multiple games that have a team of 50 people and a $25 million budget, it's time to accept that the bar of quality has increased and that you may no longer be competitive. If these games were not labeled as indie games, and you were to release your game as the top game in the newly defined indie space, you're going to get a larger proportion of a smaller pool of players. This could be beneficial, or alternatively, extremely detrimental as less people care about indie games in general. But the hypothetical doesn't matter because you just have to deal with the environment you are in.
If you want to help the game industry change, and you are a gamer but not a developer, paying attention to where the money is going versus what the marketing spin is saying really goes a long way.
I would give up on this notion that gamers as a collective are going to help push the gaming industry into a more positive direction. Most of them have stressful lives and just want to chill out by playing a game after school or work. The only time I've seen a boycott work is when the game was bad, meaning that the boycott worked purely because of the correlation with the game also being a buggy, unfinished mess.
If a company is lying about their actual resources and development team, what makes you think they have the gamer's best interest at the core of their game?
Once again, this doesn't matter. Gamers have shown time and time again that all they need is a cool trailer to forgive any past aggressions. A company that has the gamer's best interest at the core of their games is more likely to make a better game, but at the same time, it's not like being able to make a game that people want and caring about gamers are mutually exclusive things. Once you have an established audience, it's very easy to take advantage of their emotional investment in the IP or company. You have to acknowledge that at the end of the day, gamers would still rather play a great game made by scumbags than a good game made by you.
Part of the corruption and gaslighting in the game development industry starts with the consumers, gamers.
Gamers are often unable to articulate what they really want. You see this all the time with hardcore gamers who say that they only care about gameplay but also only play games with a lot of visual charm to them. But this doesn't matter because their actions en masse have been compiled into data, and that's where most people look at when deciding which direction to go broadly into. Game developers are not selling to a single person, you are selling to the masses. And in the masses, there are groups of people that have overlapping buying habits that create trends. And those trends are pretty easy to observe. So I don't really understand how gamers as a group are gaslighting the game development industry. Individuals, sure. Gamers as a group, no. I also really don't understand how this is corruption. I'm just gonna move on from that one. The main problem with this mindset is that it's a worldview on how things should be. And anyone that succeeds outside of this worldview is undeserving and warrants disapproval. It's okay to want change, but blaming gamers for the state of the industry isn't a productive mindset. Yes, the customers have voted with their wallets. I dislike the rise in microtransactions. I dislike that Dave the Diver is considered an indie. But it's pointless to think that you can change the market by complaining about it. If you want things to change, then you have to provide a product that is better for a gamer's time and money. They are responsible for their own purchasing habits, but they are not responsible for the greater industry. Nobody is. You are also not entitled to be a game developer. Being paid to make games is a very desirable and ideal position in life, but it comes with the following condition. You are being paid to make games for other people, not yourself. These two things are not mutually exclusive, but if they are not overlapping, that is a you problem and not a gamer problem. Nobody cares beyond the surface level interest about the struggles of video game developers. If you expect them to, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. You make games that other people want to play, or you fail. A game developer should be holding themselves to a higher standard than gamers. This is true for any buyer's market in order to succeed. If you can't internalize this as being a fair system, you're gonna burn out from anger and a lack of positive direction in your life. So stop blaming gamers for the lack of your success. Game devs are the pursuers, gamers are the prize. Don't forget that.